what more could be done to reduce poverty in Canada.
I would support a universal basic income. I think putting money in people's pockets is a better strategy than some social programs that we use that are made to build things up but may not actually do what they are intended on doing.
I think we need to distribute the wealth better. I think maybe some people are earning too much and some people not, and we are working hard. Everyone is working hard, but not getting maybe the money that they need. So if we can redistribute better the wealth of the country, I think it can improve.
Yeah, more opportunities for those that aren't educated. A lot of different, startups, I would say, for people that don't have an education. I think that's the biggest, and more awareness for mental health and giving those people a job as well.
One of the main things is you look everywhere and there's people on the street. You look in like places like Vancouver where there's tent cities. The States is just as bad. They've got to get the people some housing, affordable housing. Right now the price of housing is incredible. I don't see how our kids are going to be able to afford a house in the near future, because it's just what used to be $150,000 for a townhouse is $400,000 now. So if the people living off the street can't afford a room or an apartment or whatever, I mean, our kids are going to be next,
Better jobs for people, good paying jobs and things like that they can make a living and they can exist in the existence that we have, because everything is going up. You go into the store and you buy something in the grocery store. I come out with a basket that I can hold like this and it's over $100. I mean, a lot of people, they just can't afford that. So something has to happen. I know the reasons for it. I'm aware of it, but, and I can pay it, but there's a lot of people that can't.
Well, I think obviously the most evident answer is to raise minimum wage. I think I heard 2 weeks ago that the minimum you need to make to live in Toronto is $22 an hour right now. Like, I'm a student, I make $15, I'm from Toronto. There's a reason everyone's trying to leave and go around the GTA and get away from it, because it's hard to find jobs when you're a student trying to pay for that degree that's ultimately going to get you the job that you need to pay for what you need. So,
stronger social safety net for people, more access to food, cheaper food, affordable housing for everybody.
More social programs. Housing, transportation, I think more tax base to lower income Canadians.
Well, I think that housing can go down a little bit, it can become more affordable, and I think there can be a little bit more access to social services, but at the same time I think that we really need to invest in education and bring that cost down as well.
I think the first step would be to start with education. I think that definitely that's the key to increase wealth in the country and reduce poverty. So access to education, and then the system would give back, more also to everyone.
From my point of view, I definitely look at a lot of Indigenous issues and looking at sort of the disparity with Indigenous groups. I think that also, of course, being in Toronto, I think it's a very different experience of seeing poverty or seeing homelessness or things like this, which I think being here so much, it would be interesting to understand kind of what poverty looks like in other parts of the country versus where it's very apparent, and where you think more homeless shelters, better care for those getting back on their feet, things like that come to mind immediately.
I think more should be done to help the people that are on the streets to get back on their feet. I think that bias needs to be reduced when it comes to judging others before knowing their situation. So I think something that can impact the root of the problem rather than just supplementing some of the symptoms would be a good start, in my opinion. But yeah, something to help the people that are, at the lowest.
The price of everything's going through the roof. Maybe our Prime Minister or our leaders care a little bit more about economic policy, and they would have they would have less people, being kicked out of their apartments every year, every month.
A lot more. Concretely, I wouldn't know exactly what to say, but there would be a lot more shelters that would be needed for sure. A lot more help to the indigenous. That would be a big problem. So yeah, I'd say a lot more help, especially for indigenous nations.
I think if everyone had access to a universal basic income, if people who were working jobs that are essential to the functionings of our society had access to a higher wage, so that most people were actually being paid wages that don't put them below the poverty line, that would be wonderful.
In Canada, I think they should invest in the mental health issue. There's tons of poor people in the street that should be in the hospital instead in the street because they got mental issues and stuff like that. Yeah, if they would put more money in that, I think that would probably reduce a little bit of people in the street and solve that problem.
I think it's great to dedicate money towards housing and programs, especially in the city where there's a lot of poverty, especially Milton Park area. But I think more needs to be done to address the underlying root causes of the issue.
I would say to reduce poverty, first of all, is to create jobs. This is like one of the main answers that I'm pretty sure everyone is answering. I know it's hard, but sometimes the most insignificant job could be significant to someone else, and they can end poverty and people being on the streets and everything. And I am 1,000,000% sure that Canada is capable of doing it. Since they can accept, immigrants and refugees in their country, why don't you take care of your population first with the means that you already have? Instead, investing in the people coming outside of the country. I have nothing against them. Of course, I am an immigrant, thank you for helping me, but come on, let's think about our population first. So that's my opinion on this.